The journey. Why? Why the journey? What does involve in the journey? Why never ever within the breed of the American Pit Bull Terrier, the books and stuff like that, I didn't hear these concepts about the journey. And you hear all these other things, all these jazz that make halfway sense, but they don't make a complete sense. These conversations about the dogs, and then sometimes some people will be conversating about the pedigree, some people will be conversating about the bloodline, somebody about a particular dog, and so on and so forth. Yet nobody's talking about the most important thing that separates the greats from the good and the mediocrity. And there's an ocean between the good and the great. There's an ocean. You need to read a book. It's called From Good to Great by Jim Collins. I keep telling people to read that book. Built to Last is another book by Jim Collins. Why Only the Best Survive by Jim Collins. And I want you to understand these concepts. I want you to understand this understanding. Why the journey? Because the journey can only exist by a combination of the dogs and the men. Yet is the man the most important part. And not understanding the importance of the man is what really destroys everybody's dream in the past of becoming one day a dogman or becoming one day a great. Because the journey, in my case, so far is 34 years of working with the dogs. And that includes everything from vision, observation, understanding, investments, analyzing, going through different processes to have a better understanding, a deeper comprehension of what the psychology of the dogs, the behavior of the dog, and all these different research that I did personally within my dogs, and how I observed how other men fail by not having the same mentality. One of the reasons why my journey is successful up to this point is because I didn't want other men's opinions to influence my journey. As a matter of fact, when men wanted to go right, I wanted to go left, because I understood that the masses are where mediocrity lives. The word is called community. The community comes from the word of common. Common is regular, is mediocrity. I wanted to have excellence, and excellence has a special place, and it's very expensive to define, to find, to develop, to create. And the journey includes all those things that are necessary to create the dog. So let's say if you're a person that really falls in love with the dog, and you say, well, I really like his dogs, I don't like him. Well, unfortunately for you, the dogs were not born out of a mango tree. The dogs were born out of my thoughts, out of my thinking, out of my expectations, out of my acceptance about what I reject and what I created. The dogs, without having my hand, my eye, my determination to travel around the world, will be just dogs. Something will be missing. I had to build the merits and create better dogs than the ones I found. And once I created those dogs that were better than the ones I found, then those dogs would become the next of kin. And those dogs that travel the world, and the global dogs, the dogs of the year, and so on and so forth, those dogs were able to develop a newer breed of dogs, a newer version of dogs that has something that most people don't have, and it's consistency. How many times have you seen those men that have one dog, one name, one bloodline, 10,000 men breeding dogs out of the same thing, sucking out of the same teeth, saying we are part of this, but they're not that. They're weaker. And that happens because they only have one source, one dog, one man. But when one man has 30, 40 dogs, 50 elite dogs, 100 elite dogs, for him to make choices, that man will be above everybody in terms of quality. There'll be separation. There'll be words like superiority. All those things can only be created by the journey. And that's why the journey is so important. The journey is so important. And I understood that talking to other men that wanted to become somebody in the breed will hamper my journey. It'll hamper my way of thinking. because I will learn how to do things the wrong way, and I will learn how to settle for less. And I didn't want to settle for less. I was not impressed by pedigrees. I was not impressed by common guys. I had an illusion, I had a vision in my head of this man that he traveled the world and he created this beautiful world of real American Pit Bull Terriers, and that was my dream. There was this man, this phantom, this being that loved the dog so much that was willing to give his life to save the breed and take it to another level, and traveled the world, had a lot of rejection. People will laugh about him. People will hate him. The people that were at the bottom will hate him. And once he was successful, people will want to take his dogs and breed them with the garbage they already have, the common stuff, the regular stuff. And that is why the journey is so important. The journey starts with selection, making intelligent conclusions, and understanding through observation and development, and understanding the engineering and the thought process that is behind the difference between good and great. So by definition, I had to select the people, had to select the dogs, I had to select the bloodline, and I had to look at this stuff, and then I had to audit myself, which is one of the most important processes. I had to come back and audit myself and question myself and say, how can I make this better? When I had it lost and I failed, there was a tremendous opportunity for me to look back and say, how did I did wrong? And what can I learn about not failing? How can I learn how to win? And I needed to become the man that when I lost, it was game. And when I won, it was game. And the consistency will always be gameness. And the consistency, we always will be great pets. For me, it was important to be different than everybody, because being like everybody else, it'll be the sense of equality. The sense of equality is a feminine feeling, it's a feminine notion spread by grandmothers, where all the grandchildren, all the children are the same. I didn't want to have that. I knew that someone was better than the other person, and I wanted to know why. If so, why? I wanted to go into that black box and create out of a concept, out of chaos, and understand what I was looking at. I wanted to dig into the rabbit hole and find out why this dog is better and what were the mechanics. And I found out that a lot of the things that happen in the dogs were created by random stuff. But I understood this concept very much, that the breed was made out of a huge valley, and those were all the dog owners. Some of them were good, some of them were bad, and a lot of them were pretentious guys. There were little heels here and there. There were seasons, people that were there for a season, for 10 years, 15 years, but they disappeared. But the big peaks, the big mountains, were those men that had the level of influence to create great dogs and to make the great decisions. Some of them had a gift, and that gift was the gift of looking at a dog and understanding that dog in a metrics way that another man will look at it and will not see anything. You understand? Having like a special glasses to see a different dimension of that particular dog. I understood that there were men that were different, and that the breed itself don't need the rest of the people, but what it needs is those peak moments. But then I understood also that the entire breed was running into a problem. The more they breed the dogs, the more they deform the dogs, the more people involved into the breeding process, those was the cancer of the breed, because they didn't know what they were doing. They were using that talking, that name is a talking, as a pit bull, the APBT, and they were confused by the media, and they were confused by the breeders, and they were confused by the mentors, and they were confused by the registrations, and they were confused by a lot of different elements in history. A lot of people were confused. And I understood that the breed had a tremendous impact somewhere between 1950, and I wanted to know why. Why was the changes in 1950 that made the dogs better? And they were so impactful that they laid the bed for the foundation, only the foundation. Between 1950 to 1970, there was a foundation based on selection by a special event that happened in the breed. And that was the special event number one. And then I look at the different special event that started in 1970. And that was a really great event. So it took another 20 years between the 1970 to the 1990s where the golden era of the American people started. And there it was me, the rookie with a suit and tie, with a dog that looked like a Kobe dog with clip ears called Bruno Boy. A dog that at the beginning I didn't want in my life, but then I learned to love him and respect him because of his character and his ways. A dog that I picked up in a litter that it was coming out of muds, and he became a legend himself. A dog that taught me so many different things and helped me start my journey the proper way. He had given me lessons that I wouldn't learn any other way if it wasn't because of him. When I look back and look at Bruno Boy and look at myself, I start thinking that maybe this life of him and myself is kind of like a Forrest Gump type of story. So many different events came after that in the dogs, in my life, travel around the world, doing all these things, everything to build something that was like him. He was a blueprint that was missing some items, and I had to recreate him and recreate everything that was missing about him. And 10 years later, I was able to create Awesome Buck. And a few years later, I was able to create Chilindrina and all his brothers, little mates, and sisters and brothers and everything. And then after that, we took off through another different sad event that happened in America. The swamp was coming to life. The swamp was coming to life. The beginnings of the surge of the American Pit Bull Terrier coming to life. And I had to leave America. I had to go to Brazil to develop the American Pit Bull Terrier and develop the Awesome Buck dogs, which I've been doing and I have been creating. But then the world got weak too. The men changed. And by the men and the changing and becoming weaker, I understood that there was a deadline for the dogs in the world, and that I had to do something, that the men were becoming weaker. And because men were becoming weaker, then I had to make some changes, and I needed to save the very best pets, the very best dogs of America, of the American Pit Bull Terrier, with my journey, and put these dogs in the hands of the most amazing American people, the families, the family heroes, the want their children to grow. But they must understand that the breeding dogs is the beginning of destruction. As noble as it might sound, having a puppy out of the dog you love the most, sadly, that's the beginning of destruction. And my clients understood, and they learned that and respect that. And we continue to preserve these great dogs out of this journey of only 34 years. Yet we have the best dogs of a breed that's been around, creating and developing, changing and morphing for the last 200 years. Before the American Pit Bull Terriers, you didn't have these great nanny dogs. The nanny dog, the American Pit Bull Terrier, that was saved by a journey, the journey of Chico Lopez, and today the amazing ambassadors that own those puppies, that are just showing off and letting the people world that the American Pit Bull Terrier is not the XL, is not the Blue Dog, is not the American Staffordshire Terrier, is not the Moloso dog, is not the Double X, is not the Giant, and is not the dog of the swamp, built by the swampers and the ghettos of America and the drug dealers and the scumbags. But in reality, is a great dog that has a great character, a great temperament, has no human aggression, is smart, and can become the best thing that ever happened in your life. In a family of 5, you get a dog that becomes the best single thing that happened to that family, to each one of those family members. And that is the destination of the greatest dog that ever was created in America. The American Pit Bull Terrier, the real dog, the golden vein out of Chico Lopez's journey. And that's why the journey is so important, because there's a lot of things that learn and develop through the journey cannot be learned by hanging around in the forums, by listening to people, and even to reading to books, because most of the people that write books, they never really live at this level. And their journey has been hanging around with people, listening to stories, shaking hands, and networking. When you build the journey, you literally have to give your back to everybody, because you have to have a mission. And if your mission has to create something better than what you find it, That is the real American Pit Bull Terrier. That a term that I coined back in 2010. They were not using the term the real American Pit Bull Terrier, the real Pit Bull. It is the real American Pit Bull Terrier. I had to lower the cookies and put him on the lower shelf and just call it the Pit Bull because people knew him as a Pit Bull. But folks, I hope this add value to you. I hope there is nuggets that can help you understand. The American Pit Bull Terrier is an alpha male dog. It's a dog that was built under competition. Competition is at the core of the American Pit Bull Terrier. Competition is at the core of real men, alpha males. And the world that you see around, the table you're eating at, the chair you're sitting, the car you're driving, the buildings you're looking at, the highways, the entire system, it was built by men. It wasn't built by tutti fruttis, pink butterflies, and pink unicorns. And the sense of equality is a very female feeling when it came to American Pit Bull Terriers. There is no equality. There is only superiority. The breed can only go forward. There is a component of competition within the American Pit Bull Terrier breed where it takes a long time to get to consistency. Consistency is the goal. Consistency and excellence, consistency and greatness, consistency and character, consistency in form, consistency in everything else that is great about the dogs. The dogs, the American Pit Bull Terrier, they'll never be forgotten. The ones that gave America the gift of underdog and top dog. The reasons why to fight in life and become better, never give up, is because when you're the underdog, if you got the heart of an American Pit Bull Terrier, the heart of, you got a dog inside you, which is not a German Shepherd or Labrador, it's an American Pit Bull Terrier. If you got that dog inside you, you will hustle and find a way to get to the top. Every single winner in the world, everyone that is an entrepreneur, everyone that's a doctor, lawyer, engineer, and fought hard for their life, they fought hard to support their family and become successful. Every one of those have traces of the spirit of the American Pit Bull Terrier. Traces that were given to humans by the dogs that were created by humans. So what came before the dog? It was the man. And therefore, the man is the brand of the dog. Therefore, the man is even more important than the dog. That's why the breed always needed to have the better man. So the better man can save the dog, create the dog, develop the dog, and make the dog better. Because without the man, you don't have the dog. My name is Chico Lopez. If you think I'm crazy, yes, I am crazy. If you think I am someone that worked very hard for his dogs, I'm also that person. And I have here a beautiful female dog that is kissing me, and I'm having a great time making this video for you guys. I hope that you find some inspiration, some nuggets that can apply to your life. Work hard, outwork the competition, outwork yourselves, be the best on everything you can be, and enjoy the process. The process is where the secret, that's where life is. You gotta stay in the process of continuous growing, continuous improving, and remember, the masses, the clubs, the places where they hang around together, they hold hands and sing Kumbaya, the pink unicorns, the rainbow guys, those guys, the American Pit Bull Terrier, it was not made for them. My name is Chico Lopez. Thank you so much for your time. If you think we added value to you, do what you think is best for the channel. God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye. 123pitbulls.com. Bye-bye.